In order to participate in the testnet, we need to have Sepolia, which we send to Doma Testnet. We can also send USDC, but I think that's just some extra activity. Do it if you feel like it. And if you don't have Sepolia, we can buy it on a bridge. Basically, I don't even bother with faucets anymore because it's just a hassle. They only give you tiny crumbs there, which aren't enough. Here, we can buy it on Ethereum, Optimism, and Arbitrum. So basically, you can buy 10 or 20 Sepolia ETH here for next to nothing. And coming back here, we send them back. That's it. After sending them here, we return back. So how does the sending process work? Well, I usually send about 0.05 or so. That's more than enough, really. Next, we agree, click start, and off we go. Before all this, you just need to switch the network. It will prompt you to add the network and switch to it. And then it switches back. That's it, the network is added automatically and we do the bridge. Also, by the way, for USDC I forgot to mention, there's a faucet from Circle that doesn't require connecting your wallet. You just paste your address here and send yourself 10 USDC. If they don't arrive, it means there's some kind of conflict. It reacts to the IP address. Something's wrong with the IP. I've checked this myself. I know that this is exactly why they don't come through. Change your IP address in any way and just request the tokens again to your address. Next, to start, we register an account, connect the wallet, and confirm the email. Now let me explain. We have two platforms, D3 and Doma. D3 is the primary site where we meticulously register new domains from scratch. Here, we first need to thoroughly register these specific domains, and then, right here, we subsequently send them over to the blockchain network. So, first we register them, and then we send them to the blockchain. In other words, we tokenize them. Look, the D3 platform is different from the Doma platform in that here we register domains, but there we can't register them. Here we tokenize them. That is, we send them to the blockchain. They are not initially on the blockchain. That's it. Here we simply register them and specify which particular blockchain we want to send them to. In other words, we perform the tokenization function. On the Doma side, the dashboard and all that, we can't do this. That's why this platform exists, first and foremost. And accordingly, there are also some trades here, a secondary market where we can buy or sell something, but that's secondary. The primary thing we need to do is register a domain. Obviously, the fewer the characters, the more expensive it is, the more characters, the cheaper. Just as an example, let's take register 11, which is definitely not taken. So here we have AI, ape. Let's do it this way. AI, some kind of football. I have no idea what that's about. IO.com is unavailable because it's already registered by someone else. Well, Shiba and so on. So we have blockchains and we also have Web3 domains. Basically, Web3 is, roughly speaking, sites where you can actually host a website. And when we buy this domain, we add it to the cart. But in order to complete the testnet, we need not just one domain, but to add several domains there. I always add at least 4. If you don't have much ETH, you can pick up these ones for 2.60 each, basically for pennies. And there are several of them here. Here's another AI and another AI here, so they're pretty cheap. We can also enter another domain again, and in the same way, we can get them at the minimum price. Here's a .com for 10 bucks, and here they're offering us another one for 10 bucks. IO. Well, IOs are consistently around 20, it seems. So let's say we've picked up 6 domains. It's more convenient to do it all at once rather than one by one, because we'll just sign with one transaction, and that's it. Now, what do we need to know? Here, we can buy a domain with a card using different tokens on different networks. But since we're initially working in Sepolia, I suggest we use Sepolia. Some people enable the card option, enter some values, fake ones, and register that way. But we want a more organic kind of interaction, so we need transactions. I suggest we interact through Sepolia. Next, we turn off all these auto-renewal options. They're not needed. So I've cleared the cart, and to make things clear, I'll show an example with one domain of how this is done. So basically, we're buying it. After we've made the purchase, we need to go to My Assets. And here we can see that there are domains like these, App Shiba, and so on. They're already tokenized right away. They're already on the blockchain. But in our case, it's the opposite. We've just registered a domain and at first it simply exists on this platform. In other words, it's not on any blockchain yet. And our task, the whole point of the project, is to give us, any Web2 domain owners, the ability to transfer them to different blockchains. Accordingly, there are currently 4 options available in the testnet. We initially transferred to Sepolia so that later we could send it straight to Doma, sure, but we want maximum interaction so that it's available both here and there. Since this is a testnet, we need to perform as many different actions as possible, so we send it to Sepolia, that's it. After that, alright. After we've sent it to Sepolia, we need to move on to the second part, to the second platform, which includes other functions. This is the Doma platform. Here you also need to register using your email, confirm it, and then you'll have 3 questions. Next, we go to the profile, and in the profile, the very first thing we need to do is connect our wallet at the very bottom, link wallet. Then we go to the portfolio. Here, we can see all the domains that we have tokenized, meaning those we've sent to the blockchain, and they are all located here for us. If they are on any blockchain supported by the project or protocol, we can see them here in the portfolio. This particular one I just sent to Sepolia. It's on Sepolia, while the rest are already on Doma. To bridge them, we need to go to the bridge section. Of course, we can send it to base first, and then from base to Doma. That's the longest possible route. But for that, we also need to have test Ether on base. I don't have it, so I take the shorter route and send this domain to the Doma Testnet. That's it, we see the sending status, which means it will soon be on base. Next, we move on to the following part. These are the roles that many people are currently chasing after. There's a competition going on, and I believe that these roles in this project are very significant. For the roles, we need to go to the info and links section. And here, everything is basically laid out. So, just find this information. We have the following roles: flippers, dopamines, dots, forgets, ogi, and umadi. Everything is explained everywhere, what each one is. Basically, right now we have the opportunity to get the flippers roles. We're focusing on the flippers. To do this, we need to complete this task in Galaxy. So here we have social tasks, just visiting websites and leaving a review about the Doma platform. We also need to use the buy, lister, and offer functions on their platform in the testnet. After we do this, there are updates every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That is, a snapshot is taken on the Galaxy platform. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And after it's done, in theory, we can claim, that is, complete these tasks and mint the final role. However, a significant problem is that the Galaxy device often experiences noticeable lags. Perhaps the entire project itself simply does not deliver its expected results on time. These snapshots, I don't really know how they interact with each other, but the very first time when the task just appeared, we waited for 2 hours. The second time, we waited 45 minutes. And the third time, it was about 20 minutes, I think. So keep in mind, it might not work right away, but you need to monitor it and claim it, because it's FCFS, first come, first served. Right now it shows that about 10,000 people have claimed this task. But again, I think this number isn't entirely accurate, because it's more likely the number of people who subscribed. In other words, no one is prohibited from claiming it without subscribing, but how many roles they've allocated for this task is unknown. This is Flippers 2. As for the first flipper, there were only 5,000 spots available. That task lasted only 3 days because it was claimed very quickly. This task, on the other hand, has been active from that date until now. Of course, they allowed for some extra time. I think it's set to run until August 31st, but I don't expect it to last that long. Most likely, since they mentioned it in the CFS, there is a limited number of roles, and once that number is reached, the task will be closed. In order for us to complete these tasks, we need to have domains, and when we go to this platform, we can see that here we have recently registered, that is, reserved domains. And the price isn't always satisfactory. Not everyone will have enough Ether, right? So what do we see? We see here 39,000 pages, meaning these short ones where everything is just mixed together. That is Ape, in Sepolia, in Base, in Home, and so on. All of this is just here and there's no filter at all. Of course, they'll add all that later, but right now it's very inconvenient, and that's a problem. And in order to find a suitable price there, you have to click around and scroll through pages. And there's no guarantee that you'll find it or that you'll be able to grab the domain at that price in time. Here, on the other hand, they only show the domains that have just been registered. But for that, well, you either have to search like this or negotiate with friends who have certain links, right? Already for the domains. Or buy them out at this price. Well, sometimes they even list them for USDC, for pennies, like 6 cents, 5 cents. So if you haven't done this testnet and you want to make sure you get in, you should deposit both USDC and Ether. You hunt for and look for these domains in order to buy them. And there's one nuance. For example, let's say I go here and want to buy. To buy, it says, go ahead, use the bridge. But in reality, when registering an email, an abstract wallet is generated, and by default, it just sits here, so we need to switch to our own wallet before making any payments. So for example, you've bought some domain. Here you can place an offer. We select the domain in the same way and place an offer. This one has already been bought. It's basically impossible to catch them here. They get snatched up really fast. Here is where you place the offer. You can use either USDC or wrapped Ether. Some people think you need to wrap it yourself. No, it gets wrapped automatically. You enter a value using a period, not a comma, and make the payment. Ether will be wrapped automatically. That's it, you've bought it, the offer is placed. Next, listing. Listing is done in exactly the same way. You go here, click on listing, choose the number of days, the asset, and the amount, and that's it. And you list it. After that, we go back to the Galaxy platform at the specified time on a certain date, like Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, and try to be the first to claim this role. Going back to Discord, we can also check. So we type GM and see that we have it. There's also an extra mentors role that you can get here by participating in different events. For example, we had an event here about fractionalization, explaining what it is in any way, whether technically or in the form of memes. And the best way is through Twitter, using the appropriate tags. And the best option would be to become a winner, and they gave out about 5 roles. All of this is posted, any results of your work are posted in Discord Quest. The best ones will be selected and the winners will be published here. There were also AMO events for the best questions, and the winners are published here as well. What else do we have? Well, right now there's another event going on which will also last for a week. So that's basically it. I consider the roles to be important. I also want to mention that the team members said they won't delay the launch. In other words, the TGE and the project launch will happen much faster than you think, as they pointed out. So there are plenty of arguments in favor of taking action. Just imagine the idea they want to implement. Besides the fact that there are some corporations with big whale-level domains, there are also various entrepreneurs, influencers, and producers. All of them will be able to tokenize domains and issue tokens, which, as we're used to, can be interpreted similarly to shares. That is to say, much like existing shareholders, the individual holders of these particular assets will inherently possess some significant kind of direct stake or a meaningful relationship to the overarching domain itself. But we, as old-school crypto folks, of course, you can't lure us in with that kind of romanticism, and the market has shown everyone their place, who's here for the technology and who's here for the money. So let's draw our conclusions. If you like the project, if you like the idea, I think it's an absolute must to get involved. So let's go for it, as they say. If you enjoyed the content, give it a like and rate the video. It really is a huge motivation. After all, for you, leaving a like or writing a comment costs nothing really. But for us, as people who create content, it's a lot of work. So the time investment, so to speak, is just not comparable. I'd really appreciate it if you like, comment, and hit the notification bell. When people give feedback and I see that it's helpful, it motivates me and encourages me to keep going and do even more in the same direction. Also, check out the All-Time High Telegram channel. We have a lot of content there. Discussions and everything you need is posted much more frequently. I'd be glad to see you there. So, thank you all and may you all profit. Good luck to everyone. Goodbye everyone.